Check, check, check. Microphone check. 1, 2. Microphone check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hold on, y'all. Check, check. Gotta make sure I get my screens up. Hold on. Hmm. All right, y'all. What up? Okay, we're doing a little something different tonight, y'all. What's up? What's up, kids? Yeah, I am late, but we're doing something a little bit different tonight. So once people see we're not doing the um, celebrity gossip stuff, something I wanted to cover. I've been meaning to cover like for a minute, but every time I tried to cover it, it slipped my mind or something else came up, and that is the murder of see people coming in and leaving already. They're like, oh, you ain't got no juice. Forget it. Ain't no tea. Forget it. No, this is real life shit tonight. And whoever comes in and enjoys it, they come in. Whoever don't, you just gonna miss a good ass show. All right. Shout out to everybody on Patreon, Twitter, what have you. But I need to get into this, man, because this is a video about somebody I actually know. And I'm going to start doing more of these stories. I'm going to try to flip my channel into something a little different. But I want to get into the story of Alexis Sharkey and the unaliving of influencer Alexis Sharkey. So let me share my screen. Hold on. Let's share my screen. This. Okay. What's up, Kenji? What's up to everybody out there? It's a little different tonight. There's not really much going on in celebrity news, so we're gonna probably just save that for tomorrow. But this is something that's very interesting to a lot of people that follow, you know, murder cases and especially social media. You know, you could call them like influencers are like the new celebrity anyway, right? So the people are what's up, Marcel? The people are famous. You know, nowadays you don't have to be a celebrity to be famous. There's a lot of people who are famous and ain't celebrities. And this person is one of those people, right? So her name is Alexis Sharkey. Um, Now, Alexis Sharkey lived in Colorado. Um, I think she may have been originally from Colorado and moved to Texas. I believe she was originally from Colorado and moved to Texas. Okay. Now, 5 years ago, Alexis Sharkey was unalived in a case that really for almost 2 years, nothing happened to her. And the case was on the brink of going cold until they got a break in the case. Now we're going to talk about that. What's up, Bougie? We're going to talk about that break in the case, but what I'm really doing this video for is because somebody that I know was affected by this whole entire thing. She was actually Alexis Sharkey's best friend. All right? She's actually Alexis Sharkey's best friend. So let's get into I'm going to tell you exactly, and for everybody that is not up on this case, right? Bring you up to speed. I can show you a couple of photos. I'll show you a couple of photos of Alexis Sharkey. At the time, she was only 26 years old. All right. 26 years old when her life was taken. She was an influencer. She had really started, had pretty much became a self-made millionaire. All right. So she came and did this. She's what they call LLMs. And her entire career was made and created online, and with TikTok and Instagram and brand deals, and she pretty much was in that LLM, that LLM family. Let me see. LLM. Is it called LLM? Let me see. What does no, it's LLM, right? Large language models, basically asking if you're a human. LLM. Okay. So the human content creators who shape the way large language models like ChatGPT perceive and recommend brands, right? They're pretty much human influencers, right? Affiliate marketers. Well, stick around, Bougie. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Trust me, y'all will. This is a little different from what we're usually doing, but you're gonna get a kick out. Not a kick out of it, but it's very interesting stuff. Now, when this story broke, right? This is right around the time where crime YouTubes were really picking up, right? Everybody had like the crime, what made YouTube crime channels popular. You have to give that credit to this investigative discovery channel, which is the ID channel. So when the ID channel, which shows a lot of old crimes, local crimes, crimes that you may have not have heard about during your part. It may have been happening in Iowa, where it may have been very noticeable in Iowa, famous in Iowa, and you're living in New York, so you're not going to hear about it. But in Iowa, it was like a huge deal, right? And that's how crime channels, especially around the time of COVID, really picked up. Like if you look at most of the crime YouTubers, most of them started around 2019. Like you have Kendall Ray. Kendall Ray is a crime YouTuber. You know, she has over 1 million subs. She did a video about Alexis Sharkey that had 4.4 million views. All right. Annie Elise is another one. Stephanie Harlow is another one. And if you look at all of these crime YouTubers, Christina Randall is a huge crime YouTuber. Huge. So I want to get into, matter of fact, I'm going to probably start off with Christina's, because what I want to touch on is during this time when everyone was talking about Alexis, there was really at the beginning, there was really only one person that people considered. Well, the main suspect was her husband, Tom. And I'll see if I can show you Tom. This is Tom. Right? So that right there is Tom Sharkey. He is the husband of Alexis. Now, of course, he was much older than Alexis. I believe Tom is probably 50 years old at the time that they were married, and she was 26. I believe he was around between 47 and 50. So much older guy, right? So I'm going to start off with Christina's video. Okay? Let's start off with Christina's video, because that's a good place to start. Where I'm going with this is, let's just bring you up on the Alexis video and Christina at first.
We have got to the point where literally anybody.
So we're going to start off Christina Randall, one of the big crime YouTubers, okay? Big crime YouTubers. So I believe that took place in Texas. Now follow this, because all of this leads up to something, all right? All of this leads up to something. And trust me, this is going to be interesting. All right?
You know, it's been playing back in my head every day.
He was at work for the City of Houston Solid Waste when Richardson says he got a call from an employee.
He said he thought he seen a body or a mannequin, so he wasn't for sure. He wasn't going to stop because he was kind of, you know, know that, he was scared or whatever.
Please remember to be kind to everybody, everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere.
Now we're using this under Section 107. That is Christina Randall. This is her channel. She's one of the big crime YouTubers, right? Everybody has their own sector. Everybody has their own niche, and her niche is crime, right? Crime, unsolved crimes, murder cases, that YouTubers cover, right? So she's one of the biggest ones, Christina Randall, right? So we're using this under Section 107. This is to critique, use its education, criticism, and commentary. We are not trying to infringe on the copyright of Christina Randall. We're not trying to defame anyone's character. This is strictly reporting and commenting and reacting to the reports from Christina Randall. All right.
Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance on hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know. Y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. So today's video is going to be a troublesome one, in my personal opinion. This is a fresh case. Okay, this is under investigation right now. This is going to be the story of Alexis Sharkey, a young 26-year-old IG content creator, IG model, IG personality, whatever you guys prefer to call her, who went missing on Black Friday and then was later found deceased on the side of the road, nude. And it is a mystery right now what ended up happening to her. Before we get into this, though, I do want to say again.
So she went missing on Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving. She was found on the side of the road with no clothes on. All right. And I believe this was in the wee hours of the morning. All right. So you're gonna get into a little bit of Alexis's life, right? And then you're going to meet Alexis's friends, and that's where this video is really going towards. All right. Unfortunately, Alexis has passed away, but what I'm doing is just using this to get us to where I'm gonna land the plane. All right. So rest in peace to Alexis Sharkey. It's now been 5 years. I still remember this case like it was yesterday. Very troublesome, very traumatizing. And when I used to speak to her friend, who we will introduce, you get introduced to, it was a lot of trauma conversations that, changed my life. And I didn't even know Alexis, but I know her friend, right? So it's it's a case that, rocked social media if you were around during that time, right?
And today's video is going to be talking about the story that we know of so far, all of it being alleged because I was not there. And we're going to talk about some theories. Please do not send hate to anybody that I speak about in this video or anybody anywhere, okay? This is pure speculation. Again, this case is under investigation, and we are going to hopefully find out what happened to Alexis when justice is brought to her. And real quick before we get into it, you guys, make sure you have your notification bells on. I don't know if it's because a lot of people are doing Vlogmas or what, but YouTube is being very slow with approving my videos, so they're not going up at the normal time that I typically put them up. I put them up around 9-ish, 10-ish Central Time on Mondays and Fridays, and sometimes Wednesdays when I can get a third one out, but it's been all over the place lately. So have on your bells so you guys don't miss. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Alexis Sharkey was a 26-year-old, young, beautiful, fun-loving, outgoing, super positive, life of the party type chick. Alexis is from Pennsylvania, where her family is. She has her mother there, her father there, and 2 younger sisters. Alexis was known as the smart girl. As a matter of fact, she spent 6 years in college at the University of Pittsburgh, where she got her biology degree. She graduated summa cum laude, which means she had some amazing grades. As a matter of fact, she also said in one of her Instagram posts that she was in the top 2% of her class for her GPA average for 3 of those years. So, I mean, homegirl, she worked hard, okay? She was very, very, very smart. She was not just another pretty face. She was the total package. She was a cheerleader. She ran track. She had lots and lots and lots of friends. She was a family girl. And after college, she had plans to go into medical school. Now, after college, she took a little bit of a different path. She decided she was going to take a year off, kind of have fun. I mean, she had been in school her whole entire life at that point, right? From grade school all the way to 6 years of college. So she decided she was going to take a year off and just kind of have some fun. And then she would go into medical school. She ended up moving to Odessa, Texas. Now, Texas, y'all know I got a bone to pick with y'all. Y'all been just going off lately in Texas. I'm going to need Texas to calm down, sit down, have a seat in the back, and just, take a chill pill, Texas. Like we need to catch our breath here, okay? But she started living in Odessa, Texas, and she was working at Twin Peaks. Y'all know Twin Peaks, good old Twin Peaks. Matter of fact, I know a lot of people that's worked at Twin Peaks, but that's a whole nother story, okay? You guys know where they wear the little short shorts and the little top, but nevertheless.
So Twin Peaks, hold on. Twin Peaks. Okay. That's a Texas, and here it is. Okay, so hold on. So Twin Peaks, there it is, and Odessa, Texas. And like she said, this would be the outfit that Alexis would have to wear. And it's really just bartending. It's kind of like a bootleg Hooters type of thing, right? A bar, like bootleg Hooters type of thing, right? So that is Twin Peaks. Okay, so that's where Alexis was working. She was waiting and to take a year off before she went back to school. Okay. All right.
Like she was at Twin Peaks. She had a lot of friends there. She made good money. She was having fun. Now, it was said that she had always wanted to move to the South because it's warmer down here in the South. There's longer summers. There's shorter winters. There's a lot more. She loved to go boating. I mean, she loved to travel regardless, but these are the things that she wanted to do long term. She wanted to live in a place where it was a warmer, more tropical climate, where she could go boating all the time and just enjoy life in that way. Now, while working at Twin Peaks, one of her coworkers, who was also her friend, introduced her to this man named Tom. Now, this was Tom Sharkey, as a matter of fact. Now, Tom is much older than her. I think there's like a 23-year difference between them, which, nevertheless, if you're both consenting adults, whatever, you know what I mean? But I do need to note that he was in his upper 40s and she was in her lower 20s at this time. But they hit it off and they started dating. They started traveling together. Tom allegedly works a job where he travels internationally. He goes in and out of the country to do different things. Like, I don't know all the details of that. It's really not quite clear what all he does for work, but he does a lot of traveling, and they clicked and they hit it off and they fell in love. Now, in 2018, Alexis started working for a company called Monet. Now, Monet is an MLM, but it's like some sort of like hair care company or something like that, all natural hair care products, which was supposedly perfect for Alexis. I mean, Alexis studied biology.
So I had it wrong. I said a LLM. So it is a MLM. Okay. So what is So a MLM, okay, is a multi-level marketing company. All right. Now, a lot of people consider MLMs as scams, right? A lot of people consider MLMs as scams. They're multi-level marketing. You know, back in the day, like where people would be like, oh yeah, you know, you have to bring 10 people on with you, and then, you know, you become the vice president, and then they become, you know, and then, you know, after you get 10 more people, then you move up and now you're the president and you get like the pot of money, and then if you bring 5 more people, that's what they call a pyramid scheme back in the day. Okay. For all you youngsters, look it up. All right. Because y'all don't know nothing about that. But that's what it was called back in the day. Now it is called a MLM. All right. So let's go back to Christina.
That's what she wanted to do. She was all into like researching natural remedies and organic products and organic makeup and skincare and hair care. And I mean, like, let's just be serious here. She had beautiful hair to begin with. So I'm sure this job just took off for her, and which it did. She made a lot of friends at Monet. I mean, they were hanging out all the time. Now she has her new boyfriend, Tom, or much, much older boyfriend, Tom, who she's like traveling with. He's got all these life experiences. His children are grown, and they're just like living their best life at this point. Now, it was said that even though Alexis was planning on going into medical school, she took a different path when she got with Monet. Now, when she started working for Monet, she was able to travel and work at the same time. She didn't feel like held down anymore, held back from like school or a job like Twin Peaks. And she was able to work and travel, and she started building up her social media in this way. And that was very helpful for her job and her friendships and her travel vlogs and all of that. She even started a little YouTube channel where she was documenting her travel. Her and Tom went like on this 25-day trip, and they documented the whole thing. It was super duper cute. She has like this beautiful one of those cats that looks like a cheetah, you know, that she took with them. It just looked like the best time ever. Now, after Alexis and Tom had been together for a couple years, in June of 2019, they got engaged. He proposed to her. She had the ring. She posted her little picture.
Has anyone actually made it to level 4 before? If you're slightly congested, use level 1.
Picture on Instagram. She told her family she was super excited they were going to get married. 6 months later, in December of 2019, they got married, and they got married in a courthouse, which I do find a little bit strange, especially because Alexis is such a Instagram person. I mean, all of her pictures on Instagram are very Instagram worthy, the perfect lighting, the perfect setting. I mean, she documented everything, yet in 6 months they were married in a courthouse, which to me just seemed a little out of character for her for whatever reason. She definitely strikes me as the type of person that if she
very good journalism, right? I get chills when it's good journalism. That's just damn good independent journalism. Noticing that, because when you have someone who is used to living their life on Instagram and putting everything out there and documenting everything, you expect something as big as you getting married. You would definitely expect a Instagram influencer to put that out there. So that's a very good point by Christina there.
she was going to get married, she wanted to have the princess wedding and probably like do the photo shoot and have as many friends as she had. I just cannot imagine her not like having a full out bachelorette party and like a bridesmaid, you know, spiel. Like she just strikes me as that type of person. So the fact that they went in December and got married in a courthouse makes me wonder why. I mean, that's never anybody's dream. People get married in courthouses all the time, and it's just as important and special as people that get married and have big weddings. I mean, my sister-in-law, she did the same thing. She got married in a courthouse. However, Alexis's personality just did not seem like that type of person to just boom, rush into it, get married. Like, what is the point? They didn't have kids. There was no, I don't know. But nevertheless, in December, they went to the courthouse and they got married last year in 2019. Now, in January of 2020, the two of them, Tom and Alexis, moved to Houston, Texas, the beautiful big Houston, Texas. And although Alexis had a large group of friends from Monet and different girls that they worked together and stuff, and they would go on these brand trips. And I mean, she was doing the whole entire spiel with Monet. I mean, she even took a trip last year where she posted a picture, a $10,000, check with this company Monet, where she was making then she alleged on Instagram, she was making $10,000 a month with Monet, which is another question that I have, because if you're making $10,000 a month with an MLM, how much are you selling? Because baby, I think you only get like what, 25, maybe 50, you don't get a ton. And I guess she was recruiting a lot of other young ladies. And so she was doing really well with this company, but she had to been making Monet a buttload of money for her to be bringing home $10,000 a month. Cause y'all know how it is. I mean, I love me a good Scentsy product, but nevertheless, you guys know what I mean. Anyways, so let's keep going here. So she moved to Houston, Texas in 2020. She had a large group of Monet friends, but they were in different places. And so she wanted to find friends there in Houston, Texas. Now, Alexis was a girl's girl.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it so much. And she went on this app called Bumblebee BFF. Have y'all ever heard of that? I have never heard of that before. Anyways,
so Bumble BFF, right? Bumble BFF. It's a dedicated mode within the Bumble app or its own standalone Bumble for Friends app designed to help you find platonic friendships locally. So you will, what it is the app. The app still exists. It's called Bumble BFF. You go on it and then you put in your city or whatever the case may be. And, let's just say if I was going to go on Bumble BFF Toronto, I put in Bumble BFF Toronto. And then, or my city in New York, I'm in Hempstead in New York. If I put in Queens or Manhattan or whatever, and they'll bring up everybody that's local in that area on Bumble BFF. This is not an app for dating. This is an app to find friends in your area that have the same interests that you have. Okay.
Supposedly an app where you go on there to meet BFFs. So she went on there and she met a girl named Tanya or Tanya. We're going to call her Tanya, but it's spelled with an A. She met a girl named Tanya. Now, when she started talking to Tanya, Tanya invited Alexis out to dinner. Tanya has said that night that she met Alexis, she had actually got a larger group of friends together. So she was bringing all these girls together.
So I'm just going to stop here and let people know right now that Tanya is my friend. All right. So let's just get that out the way. And it is pronounced Tanya. Tanya is my friend. And she met Alexis off of Bumble. And she was the first friend that Alexis met. All right.
They just clicked immediately at dinner. They were a girls little clique, and they became friends. They started hanging out all the time and became really, really close. So almost immediately, I think that Tanya said within 2 weeks of Alexis moving there is when they met. Alexis was on to making new friends. That's the type of chick she was. Very outgoing, very lovable, likable, friendly type of girl. Now, Alexis spent most of 2019 traveling and enjoying her life. She has spent most of 2020 traveling and enjoying her life. Now, she had tons of posts on her Instagram. I mean, she makes my Instagram look like you got it out of the Cracker Jack box, which we all know you basically did. But in July of this year, she posted a picture, and I found I don't know what it was about this that kind of stood out to me. But on July 30th, she posts this picture right here, and in the caption, she says something to the effect of like, "My husband said that the shadow above my lip looks like a hit."
If you're struggling with depression and not feeling the comfort and peace that you need, I invite you to meet with.
Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna go back so we get what she said.
Stood out to me, but on July 30th, she posts this picture right here, and in the caption, she says something to the effect of like, "My husband said that the shadow above my lip looks like a Hitler mustache." And she posts in there, "It's a good thing that I'm secure." She kind of makes a joke out of it, but I don't know why that stood out to me. I think maybe because like, who would think that? And like, who would have thought that who even looks at this picture and even sees a shadow at all on your upper lip? Like, I don't. And I look at pictures pretty intensely, but it just kind of struck me as like, how intensely does this husband look at her pictures in order to even make that joke? So, but I don't know. You know, maybe it was just a funny little joke between them, but it did strike me as weird. But then later in October, she was posting these pictures of them two together, which was super cute, like the Vikings vibe. I mean, she had it going on. Go on, sister. Like, now this is when things start kind of taking a bit of a turn from the Instagram worthy pictures to possibly reality. In the beginning of November, she went on a little trip and she was with one of her friends named Lauren. Now, Lauren has since come out and said that during that trip, Alexis confided in her and broke down to her and said, "I'm going to be honest. She confided in me about how worried she was for her safety when we went to Marfa, Texas, almost a month ago. We were sitting down at dinner and she lost it. We walked back to our hotel room and she confided in me that night." Now, the rumors are, and different things that I have seen and read, is that allegedly what she confided in her friend was that her husband was being physical with her and not in the good way. A lot of like DV was going on between them. And allegedly, Alexis told her friend that he would choke her. And there was multiple times that she woke up on her bathroom floor after being passed out.
Now, look at the size of this man. Look at the size of this man. Alexis is no small fry. Okay? Meaning she's not like 5'1" or. Look at the size of this dude. She said that he would choke her and sometimes she would wake up passed out on the bathroom floor. So how long was she out? Right? How long was she out? So let's keep in mind now, the walls are starting to, come down. She's on Instagram and you see this incredible life. Just got married to a guy who she considered the love of her life. And now he's starting to show a different side. All right? Starting to show a little different side.
DV was going on between them. And allegedly, Alexis told her friend that he would choke her. And there was multiple times that she woke up on her bathroom floor after being passed out. And that is horrible and devastating to think about. But it's alleged right now, but that is what she supposedly told her friends. Now it has come out that like the media and stuff has asked her mother, and her mother said she had no clue. She never heard anything from her daughter that there was anything physical or any kind of disagreements or fights or anything's going on between Alexis and Tom, her husband. But any of us that have been married knows that we don't typically invite our family into every little argument that we have with our spouses, because it just complicates things on a family level, right? But nevertheless, her friends were concerned, and over time, she continued to open up more, and she started telling her friends that she was going to actually divorce her husband, Tom, and she was going to leave him. Now, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving of just this year, 2020, she spoke with her mother. Now, her mother, Stacy, oh my gosh, if you see this, which I hope you're not watching videos of this. She seems like the sweetest soul, sweetest mom. You ever just watch somebody speak online and you just feel like, man, they really have a genuine, kind heart and soul? That's how I feel about Alexis's mom, Stacy. Like, she just seems like the most loving, kind mother or person. She said that she spoke with her daughter, Alexis, on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and that they were making plans for Alexis to come there for Christmas. She had not seen her oldest daughter, Alexis, since the previous Christmas before. Now, she was saying COVID had a lot to do with it. Now, maybe that's on Stacy's end, because we all know that Alexis was not concerned with COVID, honey. She was going in and out the country. She was just living the dream, but she hadn't seen her family since then, and she was planning on coming to see them this month for Christmas. The only thing that they had not decided on was her plane ticket and when exactly she was going to fly out, but she had plans on going home. Now, Stacy has not said whether she was talking about bringing her husband home with her or not, but we do know that Alexis was planning on going to see her mom. Now, on Thursday, which was Thanksgiving of this year, she went and spent Thanksgiving with her friend Tanya. And this is the last known picture of Alexis alive. Now, she spent Thanksgiving with her friend. She ended up going home that night. They were texting.
So Tanya was the last person to see Alexis at that time. She spent Thanksgiving with her and a couple of other friends. But that picture that Christina just showed, you show it again. It's giving me chills. That picture Christina showed is known as the last picture that Alexis Sharkey took on this earth. Wow.
And this is the last known picture of Alexis alive. Now, she spent Thanksgiving with her friend. She ended up going home that night. They were texting. They were texting the next day, which was Black Friday. And she was talking to her friends that lived there in her town. And she was supposed to go back to Tanya's house on Saturday. I guess Tanya had her family in town and they were going to be leaving. And Alexis was going to go to her friend Tanya's house Saturday. They were going to do movies and a girls' day and all of this stuff. But when Tanya went to text her Saturday morning, she did not hear from her. And that's when things started to get a little crazy and people started to get concerned. When Tanya went to go text her Saturday morning and she didn't get a response, she immediately became concerned. Now, we don't know exactly why. The only reason why Tanya is saying that she became concerned now was because she was a big social media person. She always had her phone in her hand. She was always posting on Instagram and everything was radio silent. So Tanya drove to her apartment that she shares with her and Tom, and she knocked on the door. She couldn't get anybody to answer. Nobody came to the door. Tanya says she sat out in her car for a long time, texting people, trying to figure out where she was, just being really worried about her friend. It was not like Alexis to not respond to anybody, and she didn't hear from anybody. Now, according to Tom, he said that she left Friday night to go out somewhere. He has not said, or he doesn't know. He has not said where she went, okay? He said she hopped the fence and got into a vehicle. Now, he has said it was a black vehicle and a white vehicle, alleged. I don't know all the details. All those will come out later. But nevertheless, he said she hopped the fence, got into a vehicle, and then he hadn't heard from her. At 11 o'clock or 11ish o'clock, Tom sends a text message to one of Alexis's friend's boyfriend. Tom,
can City Hall get anything right? Not at the TTC. We used to have one of the
text my boyfriend. 11 p.m. is when my boyfriend John called Tom and said, what's going on? And he said, me and Lex got into an argument and she left. I don't know where she went. Can you just please let me know if you know anything? So at this point, Tom is saying that they got into a fight. She left and he didn't know where she was. While all of this is going on, at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, a public works employee was driving down the road off of I-10 on Red Hall Lane, I believe is the name of the street. And he's driving and he sees what he thinks are feet sticking out from the bush by the road.
Mhm.
He gets freaked out. He calls the supervisor. He says, listen, I don't know if this is a mannequin or if this is a dead body, but can you please get over here? Like, he was completely just shaken up, destroyed, freaked out. Supervisor hurries over, checks out the scene, and it is a young woman in her early 20s, completely nude, laying there right off of the side of the road, deceased. They call 911. The cops come. They get the body. There is no visible signs of injury to this body. So they take the body, in. So this still being Saturday, she is missing. Tom gets a hold of Stacy, which is Alexis's mom, and says, hey, have you heard from Stacy? I have not heard from her. She left yesterday. She's not answering her phone, whatever. And Stacy makes this Facebook post right here, which is Saturday night, saying, hey, I can't find my daughter. Does anybody know of her? It's shared. People are looking for her. Tanya actually contacts Stacy as well. So obviously Tanya and Tom are not communicating at all, according to them, but they're contacting her mom at different times, which I think is really weird. Okay. If that's her best friend and her husband, why hadn't they communicated at all?
Exactly. So you have the husband calling the mom, the best friend, Tanya, calling the mom, but they're not calling each other. Right? So, and she obviously knows the husband, and the husband knows that Tanya is Alexis' best friend. So I agree with Christina. That's a little weird.
Stacy as well. So obviously Tanya and Tom are not communicating at all, according to them, but they're contacting her mom at different times, which I think is really weird. Okay. If that's her best friend and her husband, why hadn't they communicated at all? But they're both looking for her. They're both even going to the point that they're contacting her mother. We'll get there. Anyways, so on Sunday, however Tom gets this way, I don't know. It should come out later, hopefully. Tom goes down to the morgue or the coroner's office or whatever you call it, and he identifies the body of the woman that was found. And yes, it was his wife, Alexis, that was on the side of the road in the nude, thrown right off of the street, feet hanging out to where you could see them. I mean, that close from the street. He contacts her mother, lets her know. She makes this Facebook post right here. And now there's a full investigation going. Okay. So everybody's trying to figure out like what happened to her. How did this happen? Whatever. Now, Tom had made some Facebook posts. It did rub a bunch of people wrong, and he started getting a ton of hate. I'm talking about a ton of hate to the point that he had to put his page on private. And Tanya started getting a bunch of hate as well. People were coming at her and accusing her of different things, and she had to put her pages on private too. So now.
So this is what I wanted to get to. Tanya, this is who I'm really making the video for. Tanya, who was Alexis' best friend, all right, started receiving a lot of hate, a lot of threatening emails and DMs and what have you. And we're going to get into the reason why, all right, because people would probably say, well, why did out of all her friends, wait, let me come on camera. So hold on. So, people would probably say, well, why out of all her friends did she just start receiving hate out of nowhere? But we're going to kind of get to that, of why, Alexis had like probably a friend group of about 5 or 6 girls, but Tanya, of course, was was closest to her. And not only was Tom receiving hate, Tanya was also receiving hate. They were saying things to her like, "Oh, you know more than what you're saying," and they were starting rumors that Tanya was sleeping with Tom, and she probably took Alexis out. And, she started getting a bunch of insults saying, "Oh, look at the way you look and look at the way Alexis looked. You were probably jealous of Alexis and you wanted her man." And I don't know where this stuff was coming from, but she, like Christina said, she started receiving all this hate and she had to put her page on private. And it got even worse than that, but we'll get into that.
Private, and Tanya started getting a bunch of hate as well. People were coming at her and accusing her of different things, and she had to put her pages on private too. So now it is under investigation. A lot of people are suspecting foul play with the husband. Obviously, there was foul play. I mean, she didn't walk naked and throw herself down there with no visible signs of anything. Something happened to her, okay? I'm not blaming the husband. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm going to do just like the mom did, because people have asked the mom, Stacy, online, do you think the husband was involved? And she was saying, I'm going to let the investigators do their job. I'm not jumping to any conclusions, which I think is very, very wise of her. She said she's talking to Tom every day. Okay. Now I definitely have my opinions and my suspicions, like I'm sure we all do. There's also rumors that it could have been an OD. I don't know about that. I feel there's rumors that are going around online that certain things were found in her house. I'm not even going to repeat it because I have not seen that. Okay. That's actual. I've seen actual like forums where people were saying that, but I have not seen that article. So I don't know. Nevertheless, there's an autopsy being done. So we're going to find out. There are other things that I have seen and saw and have ideas of why people are not saying certain things, but I also don't want to say anything that's going to mess up this case. So I'm going to leave this story as this right now. What do you think? We will be following it. There is a GoFundMe for Alexis, and I will leave that linked down below. And they're trying to raise money, but that way the family can have plane tickets and hotel stays, because this is going to be a case. Okay, somebody is going to be arrested, hopefully soon. Where she was actually dumped at, there was a hair salon, so there was a camera. There's going to be a bunch of things. Okay, now the husband is cooperating with police as far as he's saying. The friends are cooperating. Everybody are turning over information. Things we still don't know is, where is Alexis's clothes? She obviously didn't leave the house naked. Where's her cell phone? Nobody knows where her cell phone is right now. I mean, not publicly. Maybe they do in private. Why did the friend immediately jump to going to her house when she didn't answer, and sitting outside of her house? Why didn't the friend contact the husband? What did she know about the husband that immediately made her contact her mom, who lives in another state, versus her husband that lives in the same apartment as her? Okay. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? I want to send my condolences and my heart and my love to the family and friends, anybody that loved and cared about Alexis. This is so sad. As always, my loves, please do not forget to like this video. It's a free way that you can help your girl out. And until next time, I love you guys so, so, so very much. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye. Love you guys. Bye.
Very good video. Very good video by Christina Randall. Now, along this time, right? Now, since she has been found dead, now the YouTube videos start pouring in. And I mean, there were at one point, hundreds of videos by YouTubers a day about Alexis Sharkey. You were getting some YouTubers that were making 5 and 6 videos, a video every other hour, an update of the update of the update, because it was really popping. Like, the story was everywhere. And people who weren't around then, so this story was everywhere. Kendall Ray, right? Kendall Ray also does a video. Now, this video says March 31st, 2021. Christina's video just says 5 years ago. Let me see if the date is on here. Let's see. So 5 years ago is actually 2021 as well. Let me see. I'm going to ask something. What date was this video recorded? Based on the content. So it said 5 years ago. It's likely that the video was uploaded in early December 2020. Okay. So Kendall Ray is also a huge YouTuber, and she was pulling stuff on Facebook. So she has a big Facebook following and YouTube following, right? She put out a video that said, who was involved in Alexis Sharkey's disappearance? Right? So let's do here. All right. Hold on. And I'm using this under Section 107 of the copyright law. I'm not trying to infringe on Kendall Ray's copyright. This is not used to defame or accuse anyone. This is strictly reacting and using this video for commentary, criticism, analyzation, all right, and entertainment, okay?
She was described as being really clean, and the way she was just kind of positioned on the ground was really odd. So odd that the workers actually thought that she was a mannequin at first, which kind of reminds me of the Black Dahlia case. Today we are talking about Alexis Sharkey. She was born Alexis Lee Robinault. Sharkey is her married name, and she was born on January 25th, 1994. Eventually her plan was to go to medical school, but after college she decided that she had been working so hard that she just wanted some time off to travel, to relax a little bit, and take time for herself. And this all started with a big move to Texas, and she worked at a Twin Peaks. It's a sports bar where they wear sports bras, and she made quite a few friends as soon as she moved to Texas. One in particular noticed that Alexis was getting along with one of their regular customers named Tom Sharkey. She was in her early 20s at the time. He was in his mid-40s. Also, he had already been married, divorced, and he had 2 kids. So quite a lot for Alexis. But none of that seemed to matter to her. She was really into Tom. At some point, she realized that she was tired of trading her time for money and wanted to slow down. But Tom and her knew that she couldn't really do that with the type of job that she had.
A lot of that.
Contractors to sell their products and recruit
We heard about that.
some new friends. So she joined this app called Bumble BFF. And this is how she meets a friend named Tanya Ricardo. And she invited Alexis to a dinner, and all of her other friends were there. And according to Tanya, everyone just loved her right away. They said Alexis was friendly and upbeat and seemed like she had a good heart. And then Alexis ended up introducing those girls to some of her friends from Monate, and they all got along really well. So they had this new group kind of formed. But I guess one thing that they thought was a little strange is Alexis didn't talk that much about Tom around them. And then the pandemic hit. And that brings us to November 2020, which is when I told you something terrible happened to Alexis. And the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, she talked with her mom on the phone because she was not going to go home for Thanksgiving. It had actually been about a year since she had been back to Pennsylvania. So her mom really wanted her to come back for Christmas. And her mom also noted that it was a little strange that Alexis wasn't visiting more often. Normally she would visit as much as she could. She was very close with her family. So then it's Thursday, November 26, 2020, Thanksgiving. Alexis stayed home that morning, and then that evening she actually went and had dinner at Tanya's house for Thanksgiving and did not bring Tom. And then around midnight, another friend picked her up and they went out to a bar and they stayed out till about 3 a.m. So the next day is obviously Black Friday.
So that's something new. So that is something that Christina did not bring up. She said that a friend picked her up from Tanya's house. They went out to a bar and stayed to 3 a.m. See, Christina didn't cover that. So this is the reason why you kind of mix and match and you go to different content creators, because all of them are going to probably pull something that the previous content creator did not say. Now, she didn't say that. Christina didn't report that. Maybe she didn't know. But according to Kendall Ray, another friend picked her up and stayed out till 3 a.m. Now, this is Thanksgiving night. Let's make sure we have that down pat. Hold on a minute.
And her mom also noted that it was a little strange that Alexis wasn't visiting more often. Normally she would visit as much as she could. She was very close with her family. So then it's Thursday, November 26, 2020, Thanksgiving. Alexis stayed home that morning, and then that evening she actually went and had dinner at Tanya's house for Thanksgiving and did not bring Tom. And then around midnight, another friend picked her up and they went out to a bar and they stayed out till about 3 a.m. So the next day is obviously Black Friday. And if you're not familiar with Black Friday, it's a holiday here in America. A holiday. It's a day that we have a bunch of sales and everyone goes insane. And it's a big deal for brands and a big deal for people like Alexis who are in MLMs. People in Monate were starting their sales posts early that morning. But Alexis didn't post on social media at all, which was incredibly weird because normally she's telling all her recruits, to post, driving home the message, especially on a day like Black Friday. And then around 5:30, a text came into their friends group chat from Alexis, and she had asked what everyone was doing. She wanted to go out that night, apparently, but Tanya responded and said that she couldn't go out because her mom was still in town from Thanksgiving, but she was leaving in the morning, and that the following day they should all get together and watch movies and just have a girls' day. So they agreed that that is what they would do, and the last time that anyone heard from Alexis was that night between 6 and 6:30 p.m. in the group chat. And after this, she didn't post anything new on social media. She went the entire Black Friday without posting, which is incredibly weird. So then a few hours later, Tom texted this guy named John, who is one of Alexis's friends' boyfriend. And he asked John if they had heard from Alexis. John thinks it's weird and he ends up calling Tom around 11 p.m. to talk to him about it. And that's when Tom says that Alexis was missing. And not only that, according to Tom, he told him that he and Alexis got into an argument that night and that she left. Their phone call was 45 minutes. And Tom apparently explained everything that had happened that night to him. But John thought the conversation was strange. To him, something just did not seem right. And later on, Tom ends up changing his story. And he does several times, in fact. So next day is Saturday, November 28th. Tanya is the first one on the group chat, and she texts everyone to let them know that the movie day is still on. But Alexis wasn't answering the group chat, and this was really weird to them. Alexis always was on her phone. I mean, it was literally like an extension of her body at some points. So they decided.
Now, mind you, Black Friday has come and went, and she's not posted anything. All right? That is a huge day for brands, and she is a MLM. That is something she would definitely be taking advantage of. So, me, I can't tell you direct. I can't tell you whether for sure or not. But me, at this point, I'm thinking she's already dead. I'm thinking she's already dead because she would have posted on Black Friday. She didn't answer back in the group chat. She didn't post on Black Friday. She didn't post that whole entire day. So to me, she's already gone at this very moment. In my opinion.
Decided to check her social media, and when they did, they realized that she hadn't posted anything in over 12 hours, which was very unlike her. They still met up for the movie date, hoping that she would just show up, but she didn't. And that was a huge red flag to them also because Alexis never skipped out on plans without telling people. So they called her, texted her over and over and over, and her phone just kept going to voicemail. So then around 12:30 p.m., Tanya decided that she should just go over to Tom and Alexis's apartment for herself and see if Alexis was there. And she knocked and knocked at the door, but no one answered. So she went outside to her car and try to decide what to do. And when she did call Stacy had already been talking to Tom and knew everything. Tom had been spending most of that Saturday calling Alexis's friends, asking if anyone had seen her and talking with Stacy as well. Later that day, sometime before 9 p.m., her friends actually were the ones who decided to file a missing persons report with the police. And right away, Stacy and Alexis's friends started posting on social media about Alexis, trying to raise awareness that she was missing. But as they're posting and trying to spread awareness, what they didn't know is that a body had been found that morning only 3 or 4 miles away from Alexis and Tom's apartment. This body was actually found by city workers, and when they first rolled up on her, she was just placed kind of on the side of a road on Interstate 10, about 17 miles west of downtown Houston, and she was just laying there, and she was described as being really clean. She was and completely clean, almost as if she had just gotten out of a bath. The driver who first saw the body didn't stop. He really thought it was a mannequin, but he had a weird feeling that he should report it. So he ended up calling his supervisor and asked him to come check it out. So as he got closer, he realized this is a body and he calls 911. As of that Sunday morning, her family still did not know that that was Alexis's body. And they were still holding on hope that maybe she was alive because her phone was still on. But in the meantime, Tom had been brought in to identify this body and confirm that it was his wife, Alexis Sharkey, that had been found. And all the posts switched to memorial posts. So I'm sure you're probably wondering if there was any sign of trauma on her body, if there was any. But there was no sign of trauma and no visible at all. So at first, the police weren't even referring to this as a investigation at all. But the story started blowing up in the media right away, especially because she had this social media presence. People were curious. And as it really started going on the media, people started suggesting what could have happened. Since there were no signs of trauma, a lot of people thought that maybe she was poisoned or maybe she accidentally overdosed. They interviewed her friends and her mom, and everyone seems positive that someone did this to her. Then things started coming out about her relationship with Tom. This is all alleged. It comes from her friend. It's hearsay technically, but she says that Alexis was talking about how bad their marriage was. Not only that, she claims that Alexis told her that she was scared for her life. Eventually, it came out that Alexis was planning to divorce Tom. Friends have claimed that they had already split their bank accounts before she went missing, and there were papers already drawn up just waiting to be signed. And knowing that information definitely changes things. And then it came out that during that trip to Tulum, Alexis was introduced to this guy named Sebastian, who was a Houston-based DJ.
Here's another. Okay, so here is another piece of information that we did not get from Christina, and that we're getting from Kendall. Is that during that trip, which Christina did mention the trip, during that trip, she was introduced to another guy, Sebastian. Now, I wonder, was Sebastian the same guy that picked her up and stayed out to 3 a.m. the night before she went missing? Interesting.
I guess the two of them really hit it off. So what happened with Seb is kind of unclear at this point, but it turns out that he was actually that friend that picked her up on Thanksgiving and brought her out to the bars until 3 a.m. And when it
I'm smart. So yes, and Kenji said that's what I was thinking. So it turns out, now you see, I didn't watch Kendall's Facebook, but Christina, as entertaining and beautiful, and she's very vibrant. She's very vibrant and all that, and her and thank you so very much. She do all the little cute homegirl stuff. Kendall is just about standing on business. Kendall's like, I'm sitting here, I ain't giving you none of this, and I'm just standing on business. I'm gonna give you the facts, and I'm gonna give you some stuff that you not getting from the other channels. Because Christina didn't tell us that she met another person. She also didn't tell us that she got picked up. So this is what I said. And Kenji.
So what happened with Seb is kind of unclear at this point, but it turns out that he was actually that friend that picked her up on Thanksgiving and brought her out to the bars until 3 a.m. And when it comes to this case, there's a lot of rumors online. It could have been possible that Seb was kind of already dating Alexis, and that Tom may have even known about it and have been like somewhat okay with it. But one thing that her friends and family just could not shake with Tom is that his story kept changing. But when Tom was on the call with John, he said that Alexis stormed out of their house barefoot. And he also said that she was wearing running shoes and sweats. He said the last he saw her, she had climbed over the fence at their house into a black car. But he also said that she may have just left on foot. So hard to know what actually happened. In one version, he said that she left her phone behind. In another version, she had her phone with her. And in that version, Tom said that he had used the Find My Friends app to track her around and that he followed her around. After this, he said he pulled into a gas station to kind of regroup and figure out what was going on. But that's pretty much where his story ends. And after that, he started trying to call people to see if anyone else had heard from Alexis. So Tom, I guess, has been cooperative, according to the police, with the investigation. And police, I guess, asked early on that since this is a very social media.
So Tom pulled into the gas station to regroup after he'd been following her, and he pulled into the gas station to regroup from what? And that's where his story ends. So what happened? You just stopped looking for your wife? What do you mean you pulled in there to regroup, and that's where his story kind of ends?
media heavy case that they all try to limit what they post on social media. And then they also ask the public to look for any surveillance footage that they might have. And Alexis was found in a mostly secluded area on a small, narrow road, which is surrounded by mostly fields. But there is one business nearby, which is a beauty salon, and it did have a camera facing the ditch where she was dumped. So that footage is probably really important, but at this point, we have not seen it. Houston police are hanging on to that. It has not been released to the public. Obviously, since the beginning, people on social media have assumed that Tom was the one who did it, and I understand why people feel that way, and he very well could have. But eventually, it seemed to really start to get to him mentally. He told the reporter that he started receiving death threats. And then in the interview, he also explains that Alexis was totally different when he was around her. And basically, Tom claimed that Alexis seemed really carefree, happy, and positive to everyone else, but to him, she acted completely different and was very upset and stressed out a lot of the time. He said he was constantly having to comfort her and build her back up. Then he calls her an amazing woman and denies the fight that they got in that night. And after this interview, Alexis's friends and family did interviews and wanted to set the record straight that Alexis really was a happy person. They said that she was full of life and had no demons, and that what Tom was talking about was just not accurate. Her mom, Stacy, did say that she was not aware of any issues in their marriage, but she did tell the media that she was never worried about Alexis being with Tom, even though he was quite a bit older than her. She was comfortable with the relationship. So then finally, January 19th, 2021, the medical examiner comes back with the cause of death. It turns out that it was strangulation, and that the manner of death was officially ruled, which was huge. Now there were no questions that someone had did this to Alexis. So of course, this just fueled the rumors online about Tom even more. People were very suspicious of Tom and what he was posting on social media and how he was acting. Here's one of his posts. "Baby, please give me strength. Do you remember when we talked and joked about getting old? And I said, that's one thing you would never beat me at. And we laughed so hard because you're so competitive." Which something about that just gives me the creeps, honestly. One thing that he did that really upset people was he referred to Alexis in past tense before they even found her body, which was weird. But there was actually problems getting her body back home. And this definitely will make you think twice about Tom. So the medical examiner had listed Alexis as Alexis Lee Robinault, which is her maiden name, instead of Sharkey, which was a mistake. But he did list Tom as her next of kin. And whoever is listed as next of kin in these cases has a lot of power. But on January 18th, it came out that Tom had never officially claimed her body. When they first found out Alexis had passed, Stacy and Tom had some type of conversation, and they agreed that Alexis would be buried back at home. Tom seemed to agree with this is what Stacy wanted, and he was cooperating at first. But eventually, he ghosts her. That's right, he ghosts her mom. But finally, after 2 weeks of silence from Tom, the medical examiner agreed to go ahead and list her parents as her next of kin, and they brought her home. They held a small private funeral in her hometown.
So the husband, the one who said he loved her so much, the husband did not ever officially claim her body. And after 2 weeks of her being gone, the parents were listed as next of kin. So that's what needs to happen when to get your body. You have to be on, listed on her last will or testament or whatever as next of kin, or on her medical records as next of kin. Obviously, she had her husband down as next of kin at that moment, and he didn't claim her body. Damn.
Some of her friends from Texas flew out to be there. And at that point, detectives were pretty silent about her case, so all they could do was wait. And that's kind of where we are now, just waiting. But of course, people have their theories of what could have happened. So let's go over the possibilities. So obviously, the number one theory is that Tom Sharkey did it. And of course, I just want to say he is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and I am in no way saying that he is guilty. This is a theory. Multiple friends have confirmed that Alexis had talked to them about Tom being controlling, and also very manipulative of her. And Tom has denied all of the allegations about the and about the divorce even happening. So that's a theory. There's also a theory that he may have been mad that she was hanging out with that guy Sebastian till really late on Thanksgiving. Maybe he was mad that she didn't spend Thanksgiving with him, or maybe she told him about the new guy and he cracked. People have theorized that maybe he did it early that Friday and that maybe he was the one texting the group chat later that day to make it seem like she was still alive. There's also some records from his divorce back in Florida in 2009 that are worth noting. He has a son and daughter, and at the time that he got divorced.
Now that's creepy. That's creepy. Did you guys hear what she just said? And this is another thing, a great job by Kendall that Christina did not mention. That they're thinking that she is already dead, right? And when that text came into the group chat about hanging out and doing movies and what are you guys doing? They're thinking it was Tom texting with her phone. Probably as she's still they're thinking as she is gone, he has her phone. And he's texting the group chat to make it seem like she's still alive. Oh, that is nasty. And that's so creepy and so scary. If that's what happened.
Divorced, they were about 9 and 12, and his wife specifically asked that she get sole custody and that he only gets supervised visits. Tom's family members also testified in court for this divorce that his mental state had been changing a lot. Then, of course, there's another theory that Sebastian, the DJ, could have been the one that did it. Of course, he was with her that night. People have speculated that since he has spent a lot of time at raves and clubs and stuff, that maybe he has experience with it. Maybe he introduced Alexis to something.
Now, that's also a theory. Sebastian, right? You know what happens with sometimes with guys. Now, she met him in Mexico, I believe. You know what happened with guys that the side dicks, where he probably fell hard for her and probably saying, hey, are you going to leave your husband? Are you going to leave your husband? Are you going to leave your husband? And she's probably saying, yeah, you just got to give it some time or this and the other. And they go out and then she says, oh, I got to go home, because my husband is the other. And then this guy starts saying, oh, I thought you said you would leave me. I thought you said you didn't love him. Why do I have to take you home? And they could have been out drinking and drugging, and something like that could have happened. They could have, DO'd. Or was the boyfriend jealous that she was still going home to the husband? Wow.
People have speculated that since he has spent a lot of time at raves and clubs and stuff, that maybe he has experience with it. Maybe he introduced Alexis to something too strong and that he got scared and hid her body. That's really the main theory about him. He has an alibi until about 10:30 that night, that Friday, but he was either by himself or with Alexis after that. So maybe it was his car that Tom had seen Alexis get into. But there would be some evidence on her phone if she had contacted him to pick her up. And there's even theories out there that Tanya and maybe some of her other friends could have been involved. People have pointed out that, yes, Alexis had this supportive group of friends, but she also had just met a lot of them. People have been critical of Tanya for continuing to talk to the media and putting out interviews, even though police have asked her to stay quiet. A lot of what we know and some of the timeline comes directly from her. There's all types of theories, but they're just theories. Then there's the idea that...
So, this is where It was Kendall Ray. Okay. And this is the name that I got, when I spoke to Tanya. Kendall Ray was the first YouTuber to tie Tanya's name directly into this. If you notice, she didn't name any of Alexis had about 5 or 6 different friends that she met off of Bumble and was a part of that. And plus she had more friends from Monet. But the only person by name that they named was Tanya. Kendall just said, oh, Tanya or some of her other friends. But Kendall then went on. I probably have to look the video up and we could do a part 2. Kendall went on and did a whole video about how it could be Tanya because Tanya continued to talk to the media. Tanya had been, I believe it had a therapist, or people were saying she was having mental health issues because she went to get surgery to look exactly like Meghan Markle. They were saying that she was obsessed with Meghan Markle and she was probably jealous or obsessed with Alexis. And once they started saying that Tanya went and had surgery because she tried to look like Meghan Markle, so then they started saying, she continued to talk to the media. That's when they started getting, suspicious about her.
That maybe it was a stalker. I mean, Alexis had this huge following. She's this stunning girl. Maybe someone was keeping up with what she was doing. Or there's the idea that it could have just been a random attack. Wrong place at the wrong time, basically. But to me, I think it's incredibly strange that Tom was uncooperative with her family as far as getting her body. That says a whole lot. Alexis's family and friends have vowed to never stop fighting until they figure out what happened and get Alexis justice. I know that there's going to be a lot more information coming out, and I can't wait to see what else does. Maybe it'll make a little more sense of all of this. I really hope that there will be justice for Alexis. I have a good feeling that maybe there will be. Alexis's mom has definitely taken the road of not putting any blame on anybody. She has not come out and said anything like, I think Tom did it. But she has certainly said things along the line of, I'm going to let the police do their job. But until my next video, friends, stay safe and stay curious.
So that was Kendall Ray, right? Now, some of those videos that people were referring to, right? Is this video right here where she was talking to channel KHOU, okay? So this is, we're going to see Tanya, right? And she was talking to the news. Now, according to reports, she was told several times not to speak to the press. But she kept talking to the press, allegedly.
How did you know Alexis? Because I know her mom said she recently moved to Houston.
Right. She moved here in January and we met, within weeks of her moving here. I was kind of looking for a new group of friends and I brought this group of friends together and she showed up to this dinner. And since that day, she's just been part of our circle.
What kind of, she's 26. I was telling you that I was scrolling through. It's kind of a deep dive. She just knew so many people. She was active. I was looking at this vacation that she and her husband had just taken, this road trip. she seemed bubbly and full of life to me. I didn't know her. How would you describe her?
Exactly like you did. She was always happy, always had a smile on her face. A lot of people looked up to her. She was just very, very positive, always very knowledgeable, knew a lot about what was going on. Loved being an influencer, as you can see, and sharing, tips and tricks about makeup and hair and fashion. If we needed her for anything to do with that, she was the girl to go to for sure.
Now, a very important part of this video that I think sent a lot of the conspiracy theorists and a lot of the theories in motion was something that Tanya said before the end of the video. She said she loved being an influencer, and then she kind of like stopped and smiled, right? A lot of people that watch it, and I probably can look in the comments and somebody will probably say something about it. Okay? I'm gonna look in the comments. Here's the first comment. Right? Let me move these comments up. Okay? Hold on. Hold on. First comment. I'm betting this girl was jealous of her. All right? Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm betting this girl was jealous of her. Something just don't seem right with her. That's the second one. Okay? Something just don't seem right with her. Third comment. She doesn't appear to be too heartbroken about the death of Alexis. Fourth comment. Tanya Ricciardo, you seem suspect as F. Don't seem sad one bit. Seems like you were jealous. Next comment. They knew each other for 9 months. Next comment. This one reminds me of Casey Anthony. Next comment. You don't seem to be part of that group. And if you actually are a friend, you don't give interviews or smile. Fake. Next comment. She seems really suspicious. Way too calm. She knows something. Next comment. Seems sus. The only one that thinks she talks about her friend is that she loves being an influencer. Who the F says that about a close friend? It just seems so impersonal. Just my observation. Now, the reason why that comment that Tanya made made everybody's antenna goes up, because Alexis was always telling people that she hated being called an influencer. Okay? She would tell her friends, and Tanya as well, because Tanya's the best friend. She would tell her friends, I don't like being called an influencer. Don't call me an influencer. Okay? She didn't like that term. I think she's like a multimedia marketer or a brand, multimedia brander, or she wanted something more except she didn't like influencer. She's like, that comes across as a model, right? So that's why people are commenting saying, I'm sure we're going to see this comment that says that she didn't like being called an influencer. You watch. Somebody said, I agree. She's really suspicious, way too calm. Right? They only knew each other for a few months during the pandemic, so I don't think they were close as she'd be with someone she knew for years. No offense for the interview. I just agree. Too soon to do this as a close friend. Yeah, even if I knew someone for a short time, it's just inappropriate to do an interview this early. All the more disrespectful if she doesn't know her that well. This one says, her words can be used against her if anything doesn't check out. This is corroborating a story that will be cross-checked. I think everyone is so quick to be suspicious of everybody. You've seen the murderers who bawl their eyes out and help look the victim. Why is she already doing interviews? Trying to make herself look not guilty? She knows something. Now, here's the comment right here. She did it at second mark 28. She starts smirking, also known as duping delight. 28 seconds, they said. She starts smirking.
She's just been part of our circle.
What kind of, she's 26. I was telling you that I was scrolling through. It's kind of a deep dive. She just knew so many people. She was active. I was looking at this vacation that she and her husband had just taken, this road trip. She seemed bubbly and full of life to me. I didn't know her. How would you describe her?
Exactly like you did. She was always happy, always had a smile on her face. A lot of people looked up to her. She was just very, very positive, always very knowledgeable, knew a lot about what was going on, loved being an influencer, as you can see, and sharing, tips and tricks about makeup and hair and fashion.
Love being an influencer, and then she kind of like smirked, even though she knows that her friend did not like her calling her that. And she made it very clear. Of course, Alexis wouldn't get angry, but she would say, like, guys, come on, don't call me an influencer. I don't like being called that. I'm not an influencer. And she didn't like being called an influencer. All right.
Fashion. If we needed her for anything to do with that, she was the girl to go to for sure.
Well, lady, I'd say that according to the law and investigation procedures, by doing this interview video, you can expect to be grilled by the cops. Best comment is no comment when there's ongoing investigation. Maybe I'm wrong. Did the job for 20 years. What would I know? This girl is so guilty. I felt it immediately. Give her a lie detector test. I see everyone agrees. I said this before my aunt was murdered 27 years ago, and it feels like yesterday. I can't talk about it without crying. She is talking a lot. So much info in her statements. The other friends cried, talked a little. Jealousy and envy in our world today. Alexis was beautiful and confident. It was drugs for sure. Probably an overdose. And her body was dumped by a scared friend or family member. I have an intense feeling this girl is going to be a key person involved in this. I thought I was convinced with her husband, but I find him to be rather dumb and emotionally charged, and this kind of person is calculated and evil. Now, this person says, my friend, that's a psychic reader, said that the husband and her friend was involved. Makes me wonder who is this friend. Seems like money was the motive and the husband was envious of her and that she wanted a divorce, but he wasn't having it. Also sounds like he was obsessed with her. My gut feeling says this chick was a part of the murder. Right? So then this is where it says she was on Inside Edition for Meghan Markle transformation after plastic surgery. Something wrong with her. Okay? So right after the Kendall Ray video, this is where everyone started coming at Tanya. Okay? Now, Tanya, who had a son at the time, was saying that she had to shut down her social media, change her social media, and even move out of her house. Right? Move her son's school because there were people popping up where she lived. There were people online accusing her of sleeping with Tom and those two getting together and unaliving Alexis. Then there was some that was saying, no. It was her by herself because she was jealous of Alexis because Alexis was with Tom. She wanted Tom for herself. Then there were some people saying that Tanya liked Sebastian. Tanya liked Sebastian, but Sebastian hit it off with Alexis. So there's people all in the comments doing that. Okay? Now, a couple of more. She worked for the same pyramid scheme as Alexis. I cannot find one photo of this woman, Alexis, on her Instagram. They were clearly not best friends. I'm starting to think that this woman was having an affair with Alexis' husband and she found out. Something is off. Okay? This is what these people are saying. I spoke with Tanya during this time, right? When she was telling me. Now, during this time, she was getting hammered. And I remember I did a video to her and she said, please, like, I don't have anyone fending for me. So I did a video at the time and I basically said, you have to wait until everything comes out. Like, you can't pile on this woman like she has a son. You know what I'm saying? And when I did that video, people were getting on me. Oh, you're protecting a murder. You know, they weren't even saying potential unaliver. You're protecting an unaliver. Oh, all you have to do is look at her on there for Meghan Markle. She tried that plastic surgery. It looked like Meghan Markle. She's nuts. This, that, and the other. So because she had tried that surgery, they said to like Meghan Markle, they automatically said she's guilty. Okay. Wow. Right. So I believe times past. This happened November 2020. We had went down to October 2021 or December 2021. And there was still no update. Still no update at the time. Okay. So now, this was, I'm going to assume, October 6th, 2021. All right. Hold on. After Tanya's getting harassed, people on YouTube, Kendall Ray especially, is making follow-up videos because what's happened now is Alexis, once it's announced that she's found dead, now we can't make any more where is Alexis videos. Now we have to make what happened to Alexis videos. And Kendall Ray, as good as she is, she was making video after video after video. She was seeing the climate in her comment section. She was seeing how the climate started to change, how people were saying, I was thinking it was Tom before, but I don't believe it's Tom now. I believe it is this crazy girl, Tanya. And I believe all those rumors, they're starting to say that people's theories and speculation, yeah, they say, that's when people start saying, they say that she was sleeping with the husband. Who's they? You guys said that. There is no they say. You guys said that. Okay? Right? There is no they say. Y'all ninjas were saying that. Right? Hold on. So, now I'm going to bring you to over a year after this case, there was nothing being said. And then we have Houston police update. And this was on the Alexis Sharkey case. Okay. So you're talking over a year later. Over a year later. Okay. Over a year later.
This was a lengthy investigation. Our evidence determined that Ms. Sharkey was killed on the night of November 27th, 2020. Her body was found the following morning. The investigation determined that Thomas Sharkey, her husband, is the only person who had the means, motive, and opportunity to have committed the murder. We were able to eliminate other suspects that came up, some of which were brought up by Mr. Sharkey. We established that there was a history of domestic violence between the two of them, and that the relationship was ending, and that there was a pending divorce. There was also clear evidence that Thomas Sharkey had not been truthful about several key issues and statements that he made to police. Over time, we were able to develop enough evidence to have probable cause to get an arrest warrant and to charge him with her murder. An arrest warrant was obtained for Thomas Sharkey on September 29th, 2021. Because of the high profile nature of the case, and because Mr. Sharkey had been evasive with us throughout much of our time, we went very quietly about obtaining the arrest warrant, but the intent was, once he was arrested, to formally charge him in Harris County with her murder. We contacted the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force to assist us in locating Mr. Sharkey. They developed leads that he was located in Fort Myers, Florida, and they contacted the Marshals Fugitive Task Force in that area. That task force of U.S. Marshals located Mr. Sharkey staying with a relative in Fort Myers at approximately 10 p.m. last night. They were able to make contact and establish that he was inside the residence. Mr. Sharkey avoided them, ran upstairs when he learned that law enforcement was there for him, and he took his own life using a firearm. His identity was confirmed by the relative that was on scene, by the arresting officers who have been looking for him, and by official identification that he had in his possession. The Lee County Sheriff's Office in Florida is conducting the death investigation of Mr. Sharkey. I would like to emphasize that this has been a very tragic series of events for both families, the Robanals and the Sharkeys. They've been through hell, essentially, with the attention of the public on this case. I want to put out there that no one else is suspected of any involvement in the case, and no one else is under investigation in the case. We have clear evidence that Mr. Sharkey acted alone.
So at that point right there, that cleared not only Tanya, but that cleared Sebastian, and that cleared her other friends, who we found out later that Tom Sharkey was going online looking at YouTube videos. Okay? People were calling in to the police after watching YouTube videos and was telling the police, investigate Tanya Ricardo, investigate Sebastian, investigate her friends. They were saying that Tom was disguising his voice, making anonymous calls, also having friends or family members call the police and say, oh, I believe it was her friend, because he's seeing these comments on social media, and he's seeing these videos from people like Kendall Ray. Now, I'm not really sure if Christina Randall made one of those videos. We're going to find out.
Both families are composed of innocent people who've been through a lot and are in pain, especially the Sharkeys right now, his family. I would ask that people give both families their privacy and space to grieve. The family of Mr. Sharkey did not know that he was wanted in the case at the time, as we were able to keep the warrant secret. Mr. Sharkey also did not know that he was wanted until last night when he was confronted by law enforcement. And at that point, I'll open it up to any questions.
Can you describe how he was being evasive to authorities?
Well, he left the state not long after the homicide, and especially here recently, detectives made efforts to meet with him in order to collect a DNA sample from him. He agreed to do that. He was living in Georgia at the time, and detectives went to Georgia to try and obtain his DNA sample, and suddenly he no-showed, dropped out of contact, came up with a very bizarre story later on about why he had essentially disappeared. And then a short time after that incident, he relocated to Florida.
When exactly did you request the DNA? When was that supposed to happen in Georgia?
That was supposed to happen, I believe, end of July, early August of this year. We had been making efforts to get him to meet with us to provide that sample for some time. That was just finally the time that he agreed that a detective could meet him in Georgia to obtain the sample.
So what was the tipping point where you said, this is the person who you believe killed Alexis Sharkey?
There was no one bombshell piece of evidence that suddenly shifted everything in our favor. Like I said, the investigation was very lengthy. There's a lot of different pieces of circumstantial evidence, a lot of things that we had to comb through. Mr. Sharkey's behavior and our conversations with him over time and evolving stories and the ability to disprove stories, that took time, and eventually the mountain of evidence essentially just became high enough.
But did you wait too late?
No.
You don't think you waited too late?
No.
The goal would have been to get him alive, obviously, perhaps.
Of course, but we don't really have any control over his actions in that scenario.
It took almost a year.
Yes, like I said, it was a detailed, lengthy investigation. There was a lot of various theories and conspiracy theories that came up that we had to look into and disprove. There was alternative suspects presented, including people that were presented by Mr. Sharkey, that we had to investigate.
See? You see what I'm saying? And do you see now why I say why YouTube and social media is so dangerous? When I make these comments, people always think I'm tripping. Right? Let me come on the camera. Because this is serious. And y'all need to see my face. This is why, right? Whenever I make these comments, hold on. Come on, Mike. Whenever I make these comments, right, about social media and about how dangerous social media is, people, no, it's nothing. You always have them people, especially people from my generation. I don't pay attention to social media. Oh no, they're not paying attention to social. You just sitting and heard this dude say, we had to look into some conspiracy theories. Well, you only get conspiracy theories from the internet, sir. Houston police. I'm glad that a reporter is holding his feet to the fire. She said, it's been over a year. I'm glad she had, because this case, it had been over a year, and it's like, dude, how many people? There's only one or two people it could have been. And all of the the motive, all of the motive was on the husband. Oh, we had to go through some conspiracy theories and some things that he had said. So he was just naming people, and y'all was just saying, oh yeah, Well, let's go check her out. Let's go check out Sebastian. Let's go check. You didn't want to charge that guy so bad. You did not want it to be him. You didn't want it to be him. And I'm glad that reporter was like, basically, what have y'all been doing for a year? Your hand up your ass? What have you been doing for a whole year? Oh, 90% of the people, well, I won't say 90% of people because, you know, it's a conspiracy theory. At least 80% of people on the internet was saying it's the husband. And usually in a marriage, that's the first person that gets questioned. And this is why I'm so, we know the reason he didn't want to believe it. Exactly. We know the reason why. If this had been a brother, he would have been arrested immediately. If it had been a black husband. But that's another story for another day. You look at the motive, you look at the older thing, he's older, and let's be 100. That's the best he was ever going to get. He didn't even have no business pulling nobody looking like that anyway. So he lucked up on that anyway. There was no business that that gorilla, excuse my language, should have ended up that old big old hairy grizzly bear. There is no reason he should have ended up with a woman looking like that. Older than her, so he's already insecure. She's out here. She's traveling everywhere. He's seeing the Instagram posts. You know there was men underneath her posts. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, you look so good. Oh, this, that, and the third. To the point where he started getting jealous and started trying to insult her. Oh, yeah, you look like you got a Hitler mustache. Very possessive. All of a sudden, she stopped going home. A family girl that always visited her family. Come home, break her mother off with some bread. Her brothers and sisters. Buy them stuff, take them out shopping. Very close with her family. And all of a sudden, those trips started getting less and less. Well, they started getting less and less because of him. Older guy had already been married. He ran the first wife away. She wanted to get visitation, but only secure visitation, supervised visitation. Women only get supervised visitation if their man is a lunatic or they feel as though he's a lunatic. This case pissed me off, and I'm pissed off all over again now that I revisited it. That's part of the reason why I didn't want to, and it took me so long to do this. Because I remember those conversations with Tanya, and I remember how hurt and concerned and afraid she was. Let's go back to this guy, because I was making phone calls to the Houston Police Department for months. And I'm like, hey, man, what's going on with the Alexis Sharkey case? Oh, you know, at this current time, the case is still ongoing. That's all they think they would say. The case is still ongoing. No further update at this time. It's an ongoing investigation. Yeah, it's been happening over a year. No arrest. At this time, it's an ongoing investigation. We can't really speak on it. Any updates on the case, you know, you can check back with us. And if any updates on the case, we'll update the the public. Unreal.
So no, we weren't able to move on an arrest until we were able to get to a point that we had eliminated sufficiently those other possibilities and built enough evidence to have a case that could not only arrest and charge but convict.
Can you expand on the conspiracy theories? Was this only from Sharkey? Was it from people like on social media?
Yeah, I mean, because of the high profile nature of the case, there was various tips that come in. There's also, family members that are trying to help, and they provide information from things that they saw on a chat board or.
See? What'd I tell you? What'd I tell you? Things they may have seen on a chat board. This is how they are conducting investigations. This is what they're doing now. This is why I say social media is dangerous. You have a murder case. A murder case. And he said tips that come in from what people may have seen on a chat board. What? You go in the lipstick alley and you're seeing what people are saying? Let me find out. What are you on Reddit? This young lady's life was taken and you're on Reddit? Trying to help with an investigation. Unbelievable. These reporters are exposing, and Kenji came up with the right word. These reporters are exposing Houston police. This dude don't know what to say. This dude is stuck. He's like, oh man, I didn't know they were going to do this. Because I remember when this case was going on, I remember how frustrated everyone was. Like, yo, what's up? It's been over a year. No, not one arrest. You didn't even bring the dude down for questioning. Something we may have seen on a chat board, or she said, can you expand on the conspiracy theories? And you know exactly what they're talking about. People like Kendall Ray. People like I said, I don't want to blame Christina Randall, but Christina Randall and all of those people who were making these videos, and because they saw that the algorithm was starting to go towards Tanya, what you think they're going to do? We better make us a video and throw Tanya's name in the mix, because that's the way the algorithm's going. So now everybody's making videos saying, oh, you better check Tanya Ricardo. I mean, back to November 2020, after Alexis disappeared in Houston, Tanya was the friend who rung the alarm. Tanya was the one who filed the missing persons report. Tanya was the one who was opening her doors to media because they were asking her questions. She revealed that Alexis was trapped in a toxic marriage. She did everything a best friend was supposed to do. But the internet said, oh, she's not grieving enough. The internet saw a target. And then the true channels, the true crime channels, start churning out videos. Thumbnails were predatory. Theories completely baseless. Creators dissecting Tanya's body language and analyzing her facial expressions. Claiming, oh, she's jealous of Alexis' looks. They wanted Alexis' life. Tanya was insulted, violently harassed, receiving death threats. Her life turned into an absolute nightmare all over again. After she lost her best friend, she wants justice for that. Now people are coming at her like she has something to do with it. And she was in a relationship. Oh, she was with Alexis' husband. And she's the one who went and exposed Alexis. These are all the things people were saying. Meanwhile, this woman's got a son, a little son at the time. Ain't nobody caring about that. I got into a conversation earlier with someone and I was talking about people having evidence, and we're living in the times where it's no longer innocent until proven guilty, it's guilty until proven innocent. So when Tanya was calling herself doing the right thing by being transparent and saying, hey, listen, she was complaining about having marriage problems. She was simply trying to cooperate and let the media know that she was there to answer. She wasn't hiding. But instead of people taking that, oh, she wants to be in the media. Oh, she wants Alexis' life. Oh, she tried to look like Meghan Markle. She's got to be the one. Disgusting. Let's go back. I want to go back because these reporters are eating him up. I wanted to go back with the captions on because I wanted to hear what that first reporter said.
Suddenly shifted everything in our favor. Like I said, the investigation was very lengthy. There's a lot of different pieces of circumstantial evidence, a lot of things that we had to comb through.
Circumstantial evidence.
Mr. Sharkey's behavior and our conversations with him over time and evolving stories and the ability to disprove stories, that took time, and eventually the mountain of evidence essentially just became high enough.
But did you wait too late?
No.
You don't think you waited too late?
No.
The goal would have been to get him alive, obviously, perhaps.
Of course, but we don't really have any control over his actions in that scenario.
It took almost a year.
Yes, like I said,
Get
it was
him! Get him! It took almost a year. Get him! What were you doing for a year? Trying to find ways and reasons not to arrest this man. hoping something else came up, hoping another scenario came up. That's what they were doing. Let's stall a little bit more, and we're going to hope that it was the Mexican boyfriend, side chick, side dick. We're going to hope that it was this girl here who's trying to look like a black woman. And these reporters, I gotta find out these reporters' names. He went up there thinking, oh, so we went in Mr. Sharkey, and after the investigation, we tracked him down and put him on a flat. They're not talking about how he was in Georgia, and after he's being very evasive. What do you mean being very evasive? He didn't leave the country. He didn't leave the country. What do you mean he's being very evasive? He's being very evasive, and he left out of Georgia. So y'all allowed him to leave. First of all, during an open investigation, usually when everyone was a suspect, you should say, "Don't leave town." That's what they usually say. He should not even been allowed to leave town. We're gonna be watching you. Don't leave town while the investigation's going on, because we may need to ask you some more questions. But they allowed him to leave town, went to Georgia. Oh, gave us a bizarre story, but you still let him go? You still accepted the story? He gave us a bizarre story, but you still let him go. And in the meanwhile, you're sitting back on Lipstick Alley and Reddick and chat boards. This is your investigation? Wow.
Detailed, lengthy investigation. There was a lot of various theories and conspiracy theories that came up that we had to look into and disprove. There was alternative suspects presented.
Conspiracy theories on a murder case. So you're looking into conspiracy theories, and this woman's life was snuffed out from under. Her family sitting back waiting for answers. You allowed him to take the coward way out. You allowed him to take the coward way out. Oh, when they came to the door, he eluded them and ran upstairs and took his life. Pisses me off, man.
Including people that were presented by Mr. Sharkey that we had to investigate. So no, we weren't able to move on an arrest until
things that were presented by Mr. Sharkey. So he was just in there feeding y'all just a bunch of bullshit, and y'all was just accepting it. Hey, you might want to look into this person. Oh, what's her name? Tanya Ricardo. Okay, Tanya Ricardo. Yeah, she was real jealous of me and Alexis. The police spoke to Tanya. She told me. The police went and spoke to Tanya, was asking her questions, and she was flabbergasted. She was like, "Oh, are you serious?" They were asking her questions they should have been asking him. And he's feeding them all these people. Oh, the boyfriend, he was a Mexican or Spanish or something. And then all their friends, all of them, they hang out with, a bunch of guys, and they go everywhere with all these trips, and always posting on Instagram and flimsy clothes, and trying to paint Alexis and her friends as a bunch of floozies. Allegedly naming like guys off a friends list. Going on a prison. Oh yeah, this one always comments. This one always comments. This guy right here. This guy right here. This guy right here. Oh, look into him. Look into his Instagram name is the Bronx Bomber 357. Like, that's what took you so long to arrest this son of a bitch? You allowed him to take the coward way out.
So we were able to get to a point that we had eliminated sufficiently those other possibilities and built enough evidence to have a case that could not only arrest and charge, but convict.
Can you expand on the conspiracy theories? Was this only from Sharkey? Was it from people like on social media?
Yeah, I mean, because of the high profile nature of the case, there was various tips that come in. There's also, family members that are trying to help, and they provide information from things that they saw on a chat board or, on Instagram. And then, like I said, Mr. Sharkey himself, in his explanation of what happened, provided a suspect description of somebody that he claimed to have seen Miss Sharkey leaving with.
Can you talk about what led up to her death that night? What we know?
We know that Miss Sharkey was home throughout the day and at their apartment, and that Thomas came home that evening and around 6:40 p.m. and things began from there.
And but the manner of death was strangulation, correct?
The cause of death was strangulation, yes. Mm-hmm.
And sorry, when we talk about the arrest, there was an arrest warrant, correct?
Yes.
And the U.S. Marshals were there to serve that?
Yes, they were there to arrest Thomas Sharkey.
And then were there charges, had charges already been filed, or was that happening after the arrest warrant was served?
That was going to happen after the arrest warrant was served.
And was there a standoff or any type of confrontation with police when they were at the home?
My understanding, and I wasn't there, but my understanding from secondhand information is that there was no confrontation, that he simply went upstairs. The marshals were aware from talking to the family member that there were firearms in the house and that he had access to them. So they waited, tried to talk him out, and eventually determined that he had taken his own life.
So he was never a threat to the actual officers?
Not from my understanding, no.
Were they inside the house or were they in the doorway having this conversation?
You'd have to ask them.
I'm sorry?
You'd have to ask the marshals that question, not us.
They haven't told you where they were?
I love this lady. The same lady. That's the same lady. I can tell. Kenji said, "Did the husband know anyone at the department?" I don't know. I know that's a good question. He may have. You know what I'm saying? He was a guy that traveled around a lot. He could have paid somebody. Who knows? She said, "They never told you." I think that's the same lady from before.
I'm sorry?
You'd have to ask the marshals that question, not us.
They haven't told you where they were?
I haven't got into every detail of the arrest situation with them now.
What happens now?
Now, we have some laboratory work left to do. We already had some lab results pending regarding DNA evidence, but now that we have Mr. Sharkey's DNA sample, of course, we'll have to get that from Florida and be able to compare that to the ongoing analysis that's happening right now. Ultimately, since someone else is under investigation, unless some new bombshell lead comes along that reopens that door, Ultimately, we believe the case will be cleared by the death of the defendant.
And sorry, his actions that night, from the time when he got home to the next morning when she was found, do we know what happened, how she ended up, like, the means and all that?
That's part of the specifics that I don't want to get into until I have a chance to speak with her family about all that.
How the family feels now that the suspect is gone? Deceased.
You know, I don't want to get into too much detail about their reaction. They're aware. I can tell you this: they're very wonderful people.
That's not justice. That's not justice. I'm sorry. If someone took my daughter's life, God forbid, any of my daughters, if someone took my brother's life, anyone, but since that's a daughter, we're gonna talk about kids. If someone took one of my kids' lives, if I don't get a chance to do it myself, I want them to die in prison. If I don't get a chance to do it myself, I would rather them die in prison than them take their own life. Because you know what? If they take their own life after they've taken her life, in their mind, they won. Because his thing was, if I can't have her, nobody can have her. So by him taking her out, nobody else can have her. And at the worst, he'll be able to move on and eventually meet somebody else. But nobody will be able to have her. And then if the police come for me, I'm just going to take myself out and still nobody can have her. And I'm not going to jail for it. To me, that's not justice. It's not justice. This youth and police took way too long. They took way too long to the point where he thought he had gotten away with it. He thought he had gotten away with it.
Her parents, and they actually felt a great deal of sadness for Tom Sharkey's family.
And the relationship between Tom and Alexis, I mean, can you go into, I know you said that a divorce had been filed.
The divorce had not been filed. We have a lot of evidence that there was a separation and that he was interested in reconciling the relationship, and she did not appear to be. No official divorce filings were made, but there's every indication that that was the direction it was going.
And there's evidence of domestic violence, you said?
Yes.
What kind of domestic?
I can't go into too much specifics there. I mean, obviously, we've interviewed a lot of people, including family and friends. We've obtained a lot of evidence in digital formats, and there's several sources that confirm that that's true.
He was physically abusive?
Yes.
You said that they had separated or were separated. Did they still live together at that apartment?
They were still both on the lease at the time, although Mr. Sharkey had spoken to the management about being removed from the lease and leaving the apartment to Alexis.
Did he live somewhere else at the time?
It appears most of the nights around that time he was staying elsewhere. There were a couple of nights that he appeared to be at the apartment, but other nights it appears he stayed elsewhere.
Stop lying.
He left Texas, and did he go immediately to Georgia from Texas, or did he go somewhere else?
Like I said, we established that he left the state within the first 2 weeks of the investigation. I don't want to get any more specific than that at this time.
And like when you were talking about domestic violence before, they should know that it's not like there are any HPD reports of domestic violence because we don't think that Alexis came.
Correct. We don't have any official police reports that Alexis made or that anyone made on her behalf. We are going off of statements that she made to other people and other documentation that we have that I can't get into.
If she was going to an agency or anybody from women's or something like that? Or?
No, I believe that she probably believed that the divorce, the separation would resolve the issue.
Any other questions before we have Spanish speaker?
Could you spell your name? I don't think we got that. Thank you.
Burrow, Burrow. First name Michael, standard spelling.
I have one more. What was it like for you joining this case that was very high profile even before you jumped on?
I mean, honestly, for me, like I said, a lot of the heavy lifting had already been done by the detectives that did excellent work on the case. I simply assisted by kind of helping them go through everything and pull the big picture together and tie up some loose ends.
Are they still on the case or they were doing other things?
Sergeant Young promoted within the department, and when you promote an HPD, you have to go to a different assignment. So he's not currently assigned to homicide, but we're hopeful to have him back. Detective Rivera here is still assigned to homicide, and we both are assigned to the case.
I'm gonna deep dive into these people's names. And Kenji, thank you for mentioning that. I'm gonna deep dive into these people's names, try to find their social medias, and I'm gonna see if at any point were any of those police attached to this dude, Tom Sharkey. Now, I'm sure by now they probably deleted any sorts of digital footprints. But sometimes you luck out. See if he, at any time, donated money, went to the police ball, went to the Houston, police Christmas party, anything. When him and Alexis went out for the Halloween party, what Halloween party was that? Was that the Houston Police Department? Like, just little things like that. Because there's a reason why this dude, and remember this guy here, now I'm not going to say this guy because he's kind of new on the case. Like he said, all the heavy lifting had been done by the time he got to the case. But some of them other guys that he mentioned and who took the initial report, those are the ones you got to look into.
Any statements to friends or family that she was in fear for her safety with him, or?
That's a specific I don't want to get into right now.
And did all the attention from the media, did that make the case harder to solve?
Of course, not just the media, but the social media element. Because of her online social media attention and fame. Again, like I said, there's a lot of good information can come from that, but a lot of noise can come in from that factor as well.
And that's what you would say would make the investigation longer, sorting through all of that.
Yeah, it's definitely a contributing factor.
Would you make any comparison to the other high-profile case, Gabby Petito? Like, people were going nuts online about it. How would you say that kind of scenario is similar?
In that respect, sure. I mean, it's similar in the sense of the public attention devoted to it, and just the day and age in which we live, where we have an abundance of internet sleuths and sometimes outright internet trolls that like to dig up information and put things out there and say things. So it can be very difficult for the families involved because they see these things and they want to bring it to our attention. They want to do everything that they can to help. And it's often very painful for them to read the things that people post online, but that's the situation where we find ourselves.
You got that right, sir. You got that right. The things people say online can be painful. So what happened after Tom Sharkey took his own life? The case was officially closed. And what happened after that? Once the case was officially closed. Hmm? What happened after that? Were there any correction videos? Was there any heartfelt formal apologies to Tanya? Hmm? Hmm? Not one major YouTuber made a public apology video. Not one. And you can go on down the list of all the people who made videos about Alexis Sharkey. As I showed you earlier, one video back 5 years ago, 4.3 million views. Then there was a follow-up. Then Kendall Ray did a Facebook. I'm sure she got major content deals off of that video and off of Alexis Sharkey. No public apology. They just quietly deleted their old speculative videos. The few that did finally make a video when the husband took his own life, it was like, the jig is up now. We won't be able to make any more money off of it because the husband did it. Oh well. What's next on the docket? Meanwhile, Tanya's traumatized. Her son's traumatized. Alexis' parents are traumatized. I'd even seen some people when they was talking about the mother was communicating with the husband. I was even hearing some people saying the mother was sleeping with the husband, was sleeping with her son-in-law. I've seen that. Oh, the mother's just too nonchalant and she, seemed like she's defending the husband. The mother was probably sleeping with the husband. You remember Brittany Murphy? Not one YouTuber made an apology. They just let the videos just keep collecting ad revenue and just moved right along to the next tragedy. They left Tanya to pick up the broken pieces of her life. No help. No, I'm sorry. No accountability. No remorse. True crime content, it isn't just entertainment. It involves real people with real lives. And Tanya Ricardo deserved a massive collective apology, and she never got one. But she just moved on, picked up the pieces of her life. Congratulations to her now. She did recently get married. So congratulations to her and her new husband. And I wish her and her family the best. And maybe one day, you know, like the Kendall Rays and what's her other name? The niece. Take a look at some of these other people. And the Christinas.
Hello, an invisible force is...
Just maybe one day you'll take your head out of your bank book and maybe you can just apologize to Tanya. For allowing your audience, your algorithm, to pretty much rearrange her life. It's just God's plan that she was able to find someone to help her pick those pieces back up. So I say to Kendall Ray and to Christina Randall and to Annie Elise and Lauren Crime Network, Stephanie Harlow, Coffee House Crime Network, all of you people who made hundreds of thousands of dollars, some probably even millions. How dare you? How dare you not apologize to Tanya Ricardo? It's your boy Heaven Hollywood. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little different. You guys can let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this content, if you'd like to see more content like this. I am trying to change my algorithm. I've been doing the celebrity gossip long enough, and I'm not even monetized right now on YouTube. So it's like, what's the point? If you guys would like to support me, and I have been asking for support because currently I'm not monetized on my channel. My Cash App is $ Heaven Hollywood. And we're going to be doing more of these things because, I'm a big advocate of, protecting women. Of course, it's all about protecting Black women, but it's about protecting women in general. I'm a big advocate of protecting Black women, but I'm also an advocate of protecting women. And something like this it should not have taken that long to figure out, right? But shout out to Christina Randall. Shout out to Kendall Ray. The videos were brought to you by them. And once again, it was a copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, all right, and analyzation. So it's your boy Heaven Hollywood. Thank you for joining me here on Heaven Hollywood Experience. Peace.